Assemble! Stay dandy, baby. One tournament ends and another is about to begin. Another high-octane episode of The God of High School. This is an episode which is jam-packed with material. For some odd reason, this episode felt the need to introduce like 1,000 freaking characters in just about 20 minutes. So let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and jump into this episode, which is filled to the brim with lots of details. Like I said, not only the introduction of a lot of major characters, but some big revelations about the crazy powers that are utilized by a lot of the people in the series. Not to mention, they don't even waste any time. They just get like right into the next tournament at the very end of the episode. So if you were fearing that there wasn't going to be a lot of action, fear not. The episode opens up with Mori's grizzled grandfather as he's battling against that evil cultist organization, which either goes by the name of Nox or it's led by someone with that name. The point is they really want this guy to join their group, and of course, Teijin is not actually going to do that. Unfortunately, a battle takes place off-screen. We don't get to see how it all happens, but it heavily implies that Mori's grandfather is really freaking strong. Not only does he destroy a massive landscape, but he doesn't even seem to break a sweat doing any of this. And then the episode just goes into hyperdrive with all of its information dumping. We get to learn from the commissioners O and Q, as well as those two sexy nurses, that the national competition is going to be a little different than the preliminaries. It's actually going to be a team competition. We get to see that the best 3 fighters from all of these districts are going to come together, forming 3-man teams as they go into the next big national competition. And of course that means our 3 main characters are actually going to be joining together and fighting for once, which is honestly kind of cool. We even get a short action scene of watching Yu Mira battle against that one Brazilian guy, basically getting to see who is going to be the 3rd runner-up, and it's no surprise, of course, Yu Mira completely wins. And then we finally get the confirmation about really what the deal is with all these people and their crazy powers. Park Mujin actually ends up having a conversation with Daewee and pretty much explains that a lot of the super powerful people in the show are actually drawing their powers from the gods themselves. Essentially, they're sort of siphoning that power and making it their very own. And we've already seen a lot of evidence to this throughout the course of the series, and I think they already gave away a few of these details, and I'm not gonna lie, some of my commenters have been mentioning it as well. I think that a lot of our main characters are actually inadvertently drawing on this power as well, because we get to see that giant mural again with all of those mythological figures and gods, and some of them look really recognizable. One of them, of course, being the Monkey King. If that's not Mori, then I will eat 1,000 bananas. So essentially we learned that a lot of these powers are actually coming from the gods themselves. It explains why Park was able to destroy an entire freaking island with just his freaking palm, and it probably also explains all the other crazy powers that these characters are using, the ones that resemble the stands from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or maybe it's something else entirely. It's kind of hard to say. The series kind of does what it wants at this point. And then the episode just goes into hyperdrive, introducing so many new characters, many of which are going to be taking place in this national competition, including this other group of martial arts badasses which go by the name of the Six. There's so many of them that are introduced in this episode that I had to freaking take notes just to remember who the hell they were, so let's just go ahead and break this down. So first off, there are the Six, which are essentially these 6 awesome martial artists who seem to work along with Park Mujin, and they all seem to have a designated title, with Park's being the Tiger Cub. Maybe that's why he's so obsessed with saying this. But joining him are a number of interesting characters. There's Jian Jason, the Great Magician. There's Seo Hallyeong, who goes by the name of the Hulk. The lone female of the group is Kim Eun-genyo, who is the Rebirth. And the one who makes the biggest splash in this episode is this old martial arts master who goes by the name of Na Bongchin. And he's basically your stereotypical old school martial arts master. He's basically Pai Mei from Kill Bill with some Master Roshi sprinkled in for good measure. And his introduction in the episode is pretty cool because he actually tries to straight up assassinate Park by basically just impaling him with his very own fist. But this just reveals another one of Park's abilities, which is essentially to create clones of himself, because why not? We're already dealing with the power of gods, let's just go crazy. And that's just the introduction of the Six in this episode. These super-powered martial artists who are going to do something. We don't really know what their plan is. I'm assuming they're going to be battling against the evil cultist organization, which looks like they're sort of competing with Park and his group for the actual power of these gods. It's also heavily implied that they're trying to summon their very own god themselves when they actually go up against Jin Taijin. There's a whole scene where they summon a massive sword from the frickin' sky. Is anybody else getting some Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars vibes? I know I am! But wait, let's turn this into a drinking game. Every single time a new character is introduced, take a shot and get ready to get completely blasted, because there are so many more characters who get introduced here, some of which don't even get any name drops or anything. Just people who are going to be a part of this big competition, two of which I'm very interested in. There's that one dude with the long turquoise hair whose name is Jagle. Jagle Take, to be exact, and he actually has this small confrontation with this dude with black hair, and I don't even know how to describe this guy's powers. Essentially, these two guys are meeting with each other, they're getting ready to have a fight, and suddenly this, dude summons, a massive monstrous mouth from the ground, and then the other guy suddenly stops it by creating fire from his hands. Basically, this episode is establishing that there are no rules, things can go crazy. And then, believe it or not, the episode actually focuses a little bit more on the main characters of the series, with Mori desperately trying to do some training and getting excited over the prospect that he's going to be fighting with his friends, but also annoyed over the fact that he's not going to be able to fight them, Mira in particular. And speaking of Mira, she actually ends up meeting with the MC from the preliminary tournaments, the guy who was essentially the announcer for the entire tournament. You remember him, right? The guy with the long snoz and the Kamina glasses? Well, what's really interesting about his character is that apparently he's blind. I could not have predicted that at all from the way that he actually acted during the entire tournament, but being blind doesn't really seem to stop this guy. He's essentially Daredevil. His senses are heightened to a crazy degree, and he's apparently something of a martial artist himself, even letting Mira know that she has to continue forward with her signature fighting style, the use of the sword, and that apparently he was actually blinded by this. So he has a great deal of respect for its power. Also, I couldn't talk about this guy without talking about the fact that he has a baby which wears sunglasses, which is awesome. But wait, there's actually more. Another character is introduced, an assassin from the Nox group, or maybe it's Nox himself. They don't really make it all that clear, but essentially this guy is here to sort of take out anybody that can get in their way, and he's going around trying to take out all of the people that are associated with Park Mujin, including Q, the green-haired commissioner who's using the Joker-style abilities just a couple of episodes ago. I don't know if they're going to take out this character that easily, but he looked pretty freaking dead by the end of the episode, and again, this is showing that this organization has some really strong people within it that can take all of these people that seem to have the ability of the gods themselves. But hold onto your freaking hats, it just continues again, the end of the episode begins, the big next part of the tournament as we finally go into our first major fight. It looks like Mori and his team is going to be going up against a group of other people, all of which get introduced in this episode at the speed of freaking light. Holy crap, what a crazy episode! What's the rundown on this episode of The God of High School? You ever watch an episode of something, you feel completely drunk by the time you're done watching the episode? That's the way that I felt in this one. There was just so much information. This is the type of episode that I think people who read the webtoon are just going to be crapping their pants over, if only for the fact that there's a lot of new characters, a lot of big name drops, and some massive revelations. So there's someone out there who's going to have a favorite character, they're going to be introduced in this episode, and they're going to get hyped. For someone who doesn't read the webtoon, you're just going to be in a whirlwind of trying to remember everything that actually happened in this episode, and there was a lot. There were small moments, training moments, character moments, introductions, and even the beginning of an all brand new tournament. Not only that, the introduction of major villains and multiple fight scenes throughout the episode. There was a lot to take in this episode, and in some ways, it kind of hurt my experiences of it. At the same time, I'm also incredibly excited to see what's going to be happening next. If anything, it's an episode that I can't wait to watch again, if only to soak in some of the more major details that happen in this episode. But I think, honestly, the thing that hit me the most was the death of the announcer. It came out of nowhere, and I didn't expect them to even bring this guy back, much less make him an important character for the series. He seemed like just one of those weird one-off characters you'd never see again, but he's actually pretty instrumental in terms of developing the character of Mira, and also establishing how serious this Nox organization, the cult guys, are about their plan to have their god descend from the heavens and to take down all these weird freaking god-siphoning power martial arts masters. Saying all this stuff out loud makes me realize how weird this series is actually getting ready to get, and it's pretty clear that it's going to do something a little more ambitious and grandiose than simply just having a lot of really cool people fighting in the ring, and yet at the same time, they're still going to give us that. It's the best of both worlds in just about every way. underway, and I have a feeling that the rest of the season is going to be action frickin' packed. The national competition is underway, the players have arrived, and the chess pieces are moving on the board in an extremely fast fashion. If anything, it still makes it a really fun show to watch. There's a lot to chew on in this episode, and like I said, it was kind of a whirlwind of stuff. But honestly, like I said, I'm glad that the series is not skipping a beat and just moving on to some really good stuff. I mean, even just smaller moments like with Jin, I thought were really great. Mori is such a great character. Even just the smaller moments with Mori, I thought were really enduring. There are times, I have to admit, when the character can get a tad annoying with his overbearing and childish nature, but he's just so much fun to watch that it's kind of hard not to like some of his antics. And his interactions with Mira and Dewi seem to be really fun, especially because of how well they balance each other. I loved that Mira got a little bit of revenge against him as well, finding out where he lives and saying that she got the information from the administrators. She had this really great evil smile on her face, which I thought was adorable and funny all at the same time. And just all these characters, like, I want to learn so much more about these mysterious 6 characters. They all have very distinctive designs. I'm sure they're going to have their very own art styles, and I can't wait to see how their titles actually play into what it is that they actually do. The implication, of course, being that they're all very strong. So there's a lot of crazy stuff that's coming down the pipeline, and this was a pretty crazy episode. So I'm going to drop a 5 out of 5 on this one. I still enjoyed it despite the fact that everything was just thrown at me so fast. If anything, it's just sort of amplified my hype for what's going to be happening next. The series continues to be distinctive in its very own right. It does help that it's based on a Korean webtoon, and that definitely gives it a different flavor, but the animation and everything is still distinctly anime, and that's what I'm really loving about this experience. Again, not knowing what's going to happen has also made it really great too. So yeah, I'm totally digging this episode and the season overall. But I want to get your thoughts. What did you think about this crazy episode of The God of High School? The massive revelations, the new characters, the beginning of the brand new tournament, your hopes and dreams for the future of the season. Sound off in the comments section below. So thank you guys so much for watching this discussion and review of the episode. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. Also, if you did like the video, give it a thumbs up. It helps out these videos tremendously. I also want to thank all of my patrons. You guys are amazing. Not only have you been making donations to the channel, but you've been giving me some fantastic feedback on all of my videos. Remember, first-time donators, if you make a small donation, I'll do an anime review of your choice. Not to mention, I'd love to add your name to this list of super awesome people who continue to support this channel every single day. So there it is, my friends. Thank you for watching this review. I'll see you all next time. And as always, stay down there, baby.